Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
It's Jeff. Glad you're all here, and I hope you're having a great Wednesday here. Today here in Maine, we are getting sleet and snow, and the roads are slick, and well, you know how that goes. But we manage here in the state. You know, what you got to do is you just got to slow down and drive carefully, and that's really all you can do. I mean, they're laying down the salt now, so you're gonna see all kinds of people at the car washes tomorrow probably, because I heard it's supposed to be nicer tomorrow. There won't be any snow or anything like that, so that's good. But boy, last night something went on around here. I don't know what the hell was, because I've been looking online there for like the local news, but Jesus, it was like fire truck after fire truck after fire truck going up the street up here. I was like, Christ, what the hell happened? You know, I think the hell half the block was on fire. So I don't know, but I mean, there have been a couple of fires in recent days here in various, not in Bangor, but you know, in other towns surrounding Bangor. There was a trailer that burnt down and killed the person living in it. It was an elderly person, and what was going on is she was having trouble with her furnace, so she started using electric heaters, and that's all I really remember about it. They don't, the fire chief's still trying to determine what caused that fire, but I'm guessing probably the electric heaters, you know, because those little things, I mean, you know, they're kind of small, and they throw off a lot of heat. They suck up the electricity pretty much here. And if you're living in an old house and it's got old wiring or something like that, you know, that's putting a lot of fucking strain on the power lines. So you know, it could be that, you know, a line shorted out or something, or maybe she had the electric heater sitting next to something that was flammable and it finally caught fire. And you know, so, you know, in the wintertime, we do have a lot of these kind of fires where people are trying to heat their homes, and everything goes south somehow, you know, because they're not careful about it, because oil, as you know, is high. So people try to heat their homes in other ways, and usually it doesn't work, you know, because they, you know, it's like for the first time they're trying to use electricity, or they're trying to do wood, and they're not familiar with the, you know, how you're supposed to manage that and keep it under control. So it's dangerous, you know, during the winter. So anyway, some things that happen here, politically wise. So let's delve into this here. This first item from A Daily Dose of Democracy. MAGA crowd rages as Trump attacks House Democrat with heinous lies, demonizes immigrants from quote-unquote filthy countries. Here we go again. America's wannabe dictator has clearly had a rough go of things lately, what with being directly implicated in the Epstein files, losing one winnable election after another in so-called Trump country, and overseeing the spectacular collapse of an economy that was humming along before he returned to office. So dear old Don resorted to what he knows best, fomenting hate and throwing xenophobic red meat to the red-hatted masses. At a MAGA pep rally in Pennsylvania yesterday, the imbecile-in-chief veered off script during a speech ostensibly about affordability to discuss the one burning issue on every Pennsylvania's mind: Somali immigrants living in Minnesota. Trump began, quote, "Do we have any individuals from Somalia in the group? Please raise your hand. That's for Minnesota," unquote. He continued, quote, "I love this IIhan Omar, whatever the hell her name is, with the little turban. I love her. She comes in, does nothing but bitch. She's always complaining. She comes from her country where, I mean, it's considered about the worst country in the world, right? We ought to get her the hell out. She married her brother in order to get in, right? She married her brother. Can you imagine if Donald Trump married his sister? Beautiful. She's a beautiful person. If I married my sister to get my citizenship, do you think I'd last for about 2 hours? Or would it be something less than that? She married her brother to get in. Therefore, she's here illegally. She should get the hell out. Throw her the hell out. She does nothing but complain," unquote. And the crowd went wild. Now, it would be easy to take pot shots at the so-called basket of deplorables in the audience yesterday, but we cannot lose focus on the bigger picture here. The President of the United States is targeting a sitting member of Congress with hate speech and putting an entire immigrant community in danger for personal political gain. None of this is normal. That's true, okay? And here's another thing too. After this whole year has come to an end now, it's a few more weeks. MAGA's been splintering, people leaving the core group, the core base of Trump's support. All you got left at this point now are your white supremacists. Okay, that's all you got left in the MAGA core. All right, and what do you expect at one of these rallies where Trump has, but adulation and ass-kissing galore from the people that showed up to listen to this nut ramble, and foment hate. They clapping and applauding what he was saying. Well, that tells you a lot, doesn't it, about who was there. These are the people you don't even want to know. You wouldn't even want them living in this country. They're a bunch of outcasts. They're outcasts because they believe in shit that, this country is supposed to be running away from, bigotry and racism. These fucking people, they would be happier than pigs in high cotton if Trump brought slavery back, okay? That's what these people would love. That's what they would cheer. Anything to bring back the old days, the days that made this country worse, not great, but worse, that's what they want to do. That's what these people are all about now. That's all that's left in MAGA. Anyone still in MAGA now, that's your white supremacist. So if you want to know who they are in your community, if they're still wearing that fucking red hat, just remember, that's a hood. It's just, the 2025 version of that white hood, okay? But that's what it is now. These people are racists. They're white supremacists. They're the KKK, okay? Because that's all that's left now in the MAGA base. Now, those people who have left, for whatever reason they left MAGA, you could still say that some of them are still like that, but for whatever reason, and it was probably financial, they decided to drop their support from Trump because, now I ain't getting my food stamps, or I'm not getting, my job's gone, and what I'm saying? They left for personal reasons they didn't think were ever going to happen if they voted for Trump, okay? And now they're calling him a liar and everything, so they turned on him. Well, the ones that are left, the ones that are still left, these are people who will go down with the Titanic with Trump at the helm. That's what these people are. And so those are your lost cause. Those people you don't even want to discuss anything political with, because for one thing, their answers and their theories and their view on things is going to be so twisted, unbalanced, that you're going to find yourself trying to argue truth with Archie Bunker or something like that. It's going to be crazy. So it's You know, I feel like that's where, you know, that MAGA is now. A bunch of armchair Archie bunkers. And this is all Trump's got, you know, to make him feel good, to make him feel important. He's got to, you know, go to the rallies where people are still there. I mean, I can't imagine how many people showed up at that one here in Pennsylvania. I mean, I can't think that a lot were there, but the fact that anybody even showed up is just kind of laughable. I mean, you know, what the hell does Trump have to offer anybody but more lies, more broken promises, you know, and hate? But I guess we still have a lot of people in this country that feed off hate. They feel like their lives are empty if they don't hate something, you know. So I don't know. It's mind-boggling that, you know, I think whatever it is that Trump is trying to do here is just grasping at straws, because he knows things are coming down on him now, and you know, the days ahead for him are going to be rocky as hell. He thought they were rocky before he became president for a second time, but it's going to get worse for him and the fucking people that still work with him. So, you know, that's that. You know, a little bit of good news is that for the first time in 30 years, Miami elected a Democrat as mayor, and it wasn't even close. Eileen Higgins, she beat Trump-backed GOP candidate Emilio Gonzalez by 19 points in a race Republicans won just 4 years ago by a whopping 67 points. But, you know, Trump should just keep doing these rallies, because that's only going to make Democrats pick up more seats, right? His speeches are really resonating with the voters that didn't show up at his rally, like, you know, yesterday at Pennsylvania. The more he opens his mouth, you know, the more people are going to be coming out to vote Democrat. And for Miami, you know, getting that's pretty interesting. That's really an interesting sign. It should put some fear in the backbones of the MAGA nuts out there, that, you know something, you guys, you know, nothing is for sure at this point. Okay, nothing is for sure. And if anybody still has any sense left in Trump's administration, they ought to be telling him to keep his mouth shut. Stop having rallies. Stop talking bullshit. Stop trying to slander somebody, because it backfires. When you start sounding like a racist, that just turns people off. Okay? That makes people want it to, you know, come out against you. But, you know, they didn't shut him up, you know, last year, and yet he still won. You know, so maybe he thinks he can continue to do that. But, you know, the problem is we didn't have the benefit of a year of him as president last year to work against him like we do this time. This time we've had a year with him, and the country is a reflection of his lack of intelligence. And so not only do people hate him for what he says, now they can hate him for what he hasn't done, which is to manage this nation. Okay? And he's been doing a lot of illegal things. So he's got that against him too now. So, you know, things could change next year with the midterms, you know, if we have them. And here's another little bit of good news. Democrats flip gerrymandered Georgia State House seat, pulling off huge special election upset. Add another checkmark in the Dems' W column, folks. Eric Geisler, a tech executive and small business owner in Athens, Georgia, pulled off a remarkable upset in a state house district Republicans recently gerrymandered to specifically dilute Democratic representation in the increasingly blue college town. Alas, GOP efforts to disenfranchise constituents in House District 121 came up a few hundred votes short, as Geisler bested Republican candidate Mac Dutch Guest IV. It's a weird name. and yet another sign of Democrats' surging popularity in the Peach State. Geisler's campaign focused on, surprise, affordability and access to quality health care. No wonder. Funny how that message just keeps resonating with folks at a time when the cost of living is skyrocketing and wealth inequality is at an all-time high. Yeah, funny how, those two topics seem to be getting Democrats their seats. Democrats need to remember, they're voting for you for that, so if you get that seat, you better do something about it, because if you just get that seat on empty promises, guess what? They won't come out and vote for you again. So, back up what you're saying, okay? Back up what you're saying. I mean, you even got Republicans out there trying to sound like Democrats right now, running for seats, promising, health care and all that stuff, okay? But because the history of them in those two subjects is so dismal, they're not voting for them. They don't trust them, okay? But Democrats have, a history of accomplishing small steps in those directions, so they know the Democrats will try, okay? But you got to try. You can't just say we're going to do this and then don't do it. Do it. And the voters will be there for you when you do. So just do it. That's one of the things. I mean, we can't have any more, Chuck Schumers and Hakeem Jeffries and all these other people that are, wishy-washy on where they should stand politically. Okay, it ought to be obvious to anybody that's breathing right now where the people's interests are and where they should go if they're going to run for any office at all. People are looking at these two things because a lot of people have suffered because of a lack of these two things. So, just saying, it's really important that these people pay attention. Listen to the voters. I mean, it's like, what do they tell you? What is it? The customer's always right, okay? Because, hey, you want these people coming back. So if they're not happy about something, then you got to fix it. If you want these people to come back. If you don't, guess what? Nobody's coming back. All right? The customer's always right. And in this case, the voter is always right. What they want to see happen, that's what they want. And you got to give them what they want. You work for us. You're not there to push your agenda. You're there to push ours. Because we can't all go down there every fucking day like you do and do your work for you. We have you represent us, okay, to go there to do the job, okay? I can't imagine, a more simpler thing to do, because as a person, I mean, as a politician, you shouldn't have to scratch your head wondering, and then coming up with your own ideas. If you want to know why you're there, just look at the results of the votes and look at what you said. That should tell you, this is why I'm here, so this is what I got to do. I don't have to come here with an empty clipboard here with nothing to do on it. The voters told me what I have to do, so I have to do it. Okay? Enough of this selfish, I want to change the world attitude. No, you don't, forget that. You change the world a step at a time, and you get that from understanding what people want. That's how you know what to do. Yeah, and then of course Trump here had said yesterday that it's seditious and treasonous to question his mental health. Doesn't sound like he passed that MRI thing or whatever the hell he was talking about if he's going around saying that shit. But let me ask you something here. Okay, how many hundreds of times did Donald Trump question Joe Biden's mental health and cognitive capabilities when he was the one that was in office? Okay? But no, when it's him that's in, no, you're not allowed to say anything about that, okay? Do as I say, not as I do. Just 0.001% hold 3 times the wealth of poorest half of humanity, a report finds. This shockingly immoral statistic and deeply destabilizing trend is obviously no cause for alarm and will in no way end in some combination of catastrophe, revolution, and or wholesale ruin. Let's definitely carry on as if all this is super normal and simply quote how capitalism works. Yeah, That's the way they want to talk about it. But, you know, it makes sense, though, when you look at the scale of globally, how England, United States, Japan, and Germany, and some other countries are kind of all going through the same fucking thing, where people are getting poorer and the wealthier are getting richer. It's all happening in these countries here at the same time. So, you know, the signs are there. I mean, I don't know how many of you follow economic news and stuff like that in other countries, but, you know, I've been, you know, reading here and there whenever I get a chance. You know, when I see, you know, they talk about, you know, this country showing signs of, you know, unemployment or rising or something, or wages aren't going. People are having the same conversations we are here in the States about those things. And they got the same concerns that we have in the United States about the wealthier getting wealthier. And, you know, nobody likes this because, you know, you're taken out of the mouths of those, you know, at the bottom. You're not giving them the wages they need to live in this world that the rich are constantly making more expensive to live in. And yet they demand more and more from you. I mean, it's like, you know, you guys are worse than the tax collectors. You know, you guys are worse than, you know, than that, because, you know, you guys, on top of us having to pay taxes, we have to pay you tons and tons more fucking money than we should for things that are basic to our need to survive. Okay? How they justify that and don't think that it should matter in the overall economy is a baffling thing, because they claim they understand how capitalism works, and yet they are doing everything anti-capitalism in this world, just to rake in all the wealth that's out there. Okay, and for what? Why? What are they? You know, are they going to turn around and do something major with all that money? No, they don't even reinvest it back into their companies. You know, and for a lot of these companies, they just take the money and run. I mean, they just don't do anything with it. You know, here you got Elon Musk, poised to be the first trillionaire in the world. Okay. It's sickening. It's almost like a mental problem, you know, that people have an obsession for more and more money. It has to be a mental problem, okay? Just like hoarders and stuff like that, you know, they keep buying stuff and that things they don't need and filling up their house to the point where they basically, you know, plastered to the window in their home. Okay, you know, this is what I think is another version of hoarding, is people who can't seem to get enough money, okay, and they certainly ain't using it wisely. They're just blowing it on bullshit, okay, and they just keep taking and taking and taking until their companies simply fall apart, you know, and it's just, you know, like I said, it's a hoarding of wealth, and there's no logical reason for it. A person does not need to be a trillionaire to live comfortably in this world. They don't need that. They just don't. I mean, you don't think about, when a person like Trump, or, you know, Musk or Trump dies, they're going to say this man cost the world, you know, $800 billion in his life. You know, you know, and it's going to be like, well, what the fuck? Why did it cost, you know, people so much money for? You know, it's because this guy spent everyone's money, okay, took it all and spent it, and what did he buy? Did he do anything to improve life in the world? No. Did he do anything to improve the environment in the world? No. I think of that movie, was it The Dark Knight, where the Joker has a warehouse filled with cash. And what's he do? He sets it all on fire just for out of spite. Or so, you know, that's how I see Elon Musk and Donald Trump. They got a warehouse full of cash, okay, and the only thing they can think to do with it is just to burn it. You know, that's people's savings, that's people's wages, that's people's money that they invested in things, in the banks and stuff, and now it's sitting in a pile of inflamed money, you know, and it's, you know, wasteful. Yeah, you want to believe it. It's wasteful. But, you know, it's criminal too. It's criminal. Don't think it ain't, because it is. Okay, and just to show you how fast things react to when Trump opens his yap at a rally. Federal agents used pepper spray on crowd in Somali neighborhood of Minneapolis amid Trump crackdown. Federal agents used pepper spray to push through an angry crowd that blocked their vehicles as they checked identifications in a heavily Somali neighborhood of Minneapolis on Tuesday amid the Trump administration's ongoing crackdown targeting the community. City Council member Jamal Osman, a Somali American who represented the neighborhood, witnessed the confrontation, as did an Associated Press videographer. Minnesota's Somali community, the largest in the United States, has been on edge the past couple of weeks since Trump said in a social media post Thanksgiving night that he was terminating temporary protection status for them. It is not clear how many Somali community members have been arrested, temporarily detained, or asked to show documents as part of the crackdown, which has also netted people of other nationalities. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials said via email that they made no arrests in the neighborhood Tuesday, but provided no further details. Osmond said armed ICE agents went to East African restaurants in the neighborhood Tuesday, closed the doors, and demanded people's IDs. Christ, that sounds like the Gestapo. They found only U.S. citizens and made no arrests, Osmond said. Quote, luckily everyone had their passport because I've been telling them to have their passport with them, unquote, Osmond said. After checking the IDs of some people stopped at random on the street and temporarily detaining at least one U.S. citizen, Osmond said, the agents went in 7 to 10 vehicles to a nearby city-owned senior housing complex. There, he said a group of mostly white young people he called quote-unquote heroes blew whistles to sound the alarm and confronted the agents, who responded with pepper spray. Quote, thank God so many people showed up there, unquote, Osmond said. Quote, the agents couldn't get out of there because people showed up with their cars and whistles, unquote. Osmond said he saw people suffering from the effects of pepper spray. He also said he spoke with one young Somali American who was dragged to a vehicle, detained, and taken to an ICE detention center. There, officials finally looked at his U.S. passport, fingerprinted him, and released him, but told him to find his own way home about 6 miles away in snowy weather. Geez, thanks a lot, huh? Quote, I just don't know what they accomplished today other than the chaos, unquote, Osmond said. Trump further stoked tensions last week when he called Somalis garbage and said he does not want them in the country at the same time federal agents launched the crackdown targeting Minnesota Somalis. The president's moves have drawn denunciations from leaders of the Somali community and Democrats, including Governor Tim Walz, amid relative silence from top state Republicans. Of course they ain't going to say anything. About 84,000 of the 260,000 Somalis in the country live in Minneapolis-St. Paul area, the overwhelming majority of them U.S. citizens. Almost 58% were born in the United States, and 87% of those born elsewhere are naturalized citizens. A new website launched by the Department of Homeland Security lists at least 6 Somalis arrested in Minnesota in recent weeks. The site says it is, quote, highlighting the worst of worst criminal aliens, unquote, arrested by ICE to show how agents are, quote, fulfilling President Trump's promise and carrying out mass deportations, unquote. ICE released a statement Friday listing 3 other arrested Somalis who did not appear on the website, along with people of other nationalities who it said were arrested in Minneapolis as part of Operation Metro Surge. ICE said they had all been convicted of crimes including sexual abuse, minors, robbery, and domestic assault. Quote, Governor Tim Walz and Mayor Jacob Frey protected these criminals at the expense of the safety of Americans, unquote, the statement said. quote, President Trump and Secretary Kristi Noem have a clear message for criminal illegal aliens. Leave now. If you don't, we will find you, arrest you, and deport you, unquote. Yeah. So this is what you got. He comes out and attacks Somali people as being garbage and stuff, and then the next minute you got apparently called federal agents going out finding Somali people and rounding them up, and some of them, they don't even deserve to be rounded up. They're already citizens, and yet, when they find out that these people are citizens, they say they kick them out there, go home, 10 miles away from home. Okay, so I mean, it's when people try to justify, and I've seen people online try to justify this shit, what ICE is doing and all that, it's laughable, because when they defend ICE, they make it sound like, oh, what they're doing is righteous, it's legal, they shouldn't be in this country, these people are illegals, yada yada, they're criminals. Okay, and it's like, well, can you name any that are criminals or illegals? Because as far as the rest of the country's concerned, these people that go after them have no warrants. They don't even appear in court to argue their case. There's no record of anything these accusations being proven. Any more than these so-called federal agents have been proven to be actual federal agents. I mean, these people are being hired for cash, filling in the gaps because there aren't enough ICE agents out there, so they had to deputize a whole shitload of people and give them money for it. And a lot of these people have no training, and they're out there just winging it. And so you got people who may or may not be actual agents going after people who may or may not be citizens. And the only person that's going to greenlight this shit is the fucking asshole in the White House. Okay? So, I mean, for the way they're doing things, they could come and get you. They could come and get you and take you away. You could be a citizen, but, oh, no, I don't see that, or, they'll just deport you and just say, oh, that person wasn't a citizen. He wasn't a citizen. She wasn't a citizen. Okay, when they've lived here all in this country all their life, since birth, but no, they just don't like you, because maybe your skin's too dark, or maybe you look foreign, or maybe you sound foreign, I don't know, because most people today, especially in this country, they judge people by how they look, okay, they judge everybody by how they look. That's the way things are in America. That's why we have such a problem with bigotry and racism in America, and it hasn't changed. We still do that, even to people who are white, but maybe, they might look like they're homosexual or something like that immediately. They may not be, but they might just act that way, and that's just their mannerisms. But you do that in front of somebody, and stay away from them. Okay, so that's what you got. A bunch of people who really are just going by looks. They're, racial profiling and the works. The worst of the worst ways to handle situations like this, by people who have no fucking reason to be wearing or doing what they're doing, because they're not wearing uniforms most of the time. They're covering their damn face like they're a bunch of robbers. Christ. And the funny thing is, and I know this is kind of off the wall, but on Halloween, you're not allowed to wear a mask in the fucking mall around here. Okay, so what would happen if ICE agents showed up or something? In the mall to go, right, is the mall security going to stop them? So, you can't wear that, and, I don't know. It's dumb. The whole situation is dumb, okay? We had a system in place, okay, to deal with people who were here illegally. And because it didn't work fast enough for some people, or it didn't get rid of enough people so they won't see them on the streets, okay, they felt it wasn't working, that it wasn't working well enough. Well, if you got a country of laws to keep the country civil, you either like the laws or you don't have the laws. You can't have it both ways, okay? Because if you want to have fair treatment under your under the judicial system in this country, okay, you can't take it away from somebody else because they have a different skin color. You know, and therefore, I mean, even the worst criminals in this country had to go through the system. All right, they have to go through the system. That's the way we do things. You don't like it, fine, you don't like it. Okay, but that's not the way, you know, by doing and supporting people like Trump, it's not the way to correct the problem. Okay, that's the wrong way to do it. You're just trying to strong arm your views on the public that doesn't largely agree with you. So, okay, anyway, let's go to commercial break and we...
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
How does Santa do it? How does it work? Does he cinch up his belt or shrink himself down to the size of a mouse?
I'm sure by now you guys have all seen that video of Melania Trump reading an adorable Christmas story in front of a bunch of poor defenseless children. But what you guys probably don't know is she originally wanted to read a Christmas story that she wrote. But unfortunately, her handlers didn't think it was appropriate for kids. But luckily for you guys, I have a copy of it. Ahem. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature were stirring, except my grotesque spouse. The stockings were hung by the staircase with dread, because somehow this man keeps breathing like a beast being fed. His administration nestled, all stressed in their beds, while visions of lawsuits and ankle monitors danced in their heads. And I in my nightgown, my dignity gone, scan Zillow for places to live without dawn. When out from the bedroom echoed a dreadful sound, a shrill, nasal, and breathing kind of heavily bloated piece of shit that refuses to drown. The hallway lights caught him, my seasonal fright, like a reoccurring nightmare I have to live for the rest of my life. With bronzer so violent, it violated sight, stood a body built by Coca-Cola, Big Macs, and spite. He leaned in for a kiss, and I braced myself for impact. But the closer he got, I noticed his ear was still intact. That's strange, I said, trying to deflect from his thin, chapped lips. It's so unfortunate that that guy missed. But in my final moments of despair, on TV flashed something bright. Alas, an image to get me through this night. A jawline, a smirk, a man who showers and can read. I whispered one name like a prayer in need. Oh Gavin, make me Melania Newsom. Please come and take me away from this bum. But unfortunately, that can only happen in my sweetest of dreams. Now, kids, There's one more thing I have to remind you before I dismiss. That despite me being here today, I still don't give a fuck about Christmas. The end.
It's beginning to look like Trump's last Christmas won't make it through the year. As his ankles begin to swell, it's affecting his heart as well. He can't regenerate that like his ear. It's beginning to look like Trump's last Christmas. He will falsify. As he's standing there on his plane, he keeps bragging about his brain. Perfect MRI. As he continues to choke down fried chicken and coke, his doctors report on his youth. Cholesterol numbers and afternoon slumbers reveal that it isn't the truth. And we can't wait until it's time to use the voting booth. It's beginning to look like Trump's last Christmas. His cognitive decline. He keeps bragging about the test and claiming it was the best. We know that for dementia that's a sign. It's beginning to look like Trump's last Christmas. And given half a chance, when invoking the 25th, you know who we're then stuck with. Yes, it's J.D. Vance.
Okay, you friggin' vultures, what dumbass questions do you have for me today? And remember, you're lucky we're even letting you ask questions.
Is the president using the justice system for his own personal vendettas against the Democrats?
Okay, first of all, fix your tone. Second of all, if the president hates someone, you should hate them too. That's how this works. Okay? Like, for example, the president hates you. And honestly, given all the attitude you just gave me, same. Next question.
The president says he will release the Epstein files, but critics are concerned that the documents will be heavily redacted.
If you were in the Epstein files, wouldn't you want them redacted too? Seriously, what kind of woke rat brain question was that? Embarrassing. Next.
Will the president be apologizing for calling a reporter piggy?
Would you all rather he say stuff like that behind your backs?
I think we'd all rather you not say that kind of stuff at all.
Oh, really? I guess you also hope that he does the things that he says he's gonna do? I mean, like, grow up, piss brains.
Please don't call me that.
That's what you sound like. It's embarrassing. Grow up, loser. And while you're at it, why don't you take a shower? Because everyone here says you stink.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Next.
Do you think saying that Democrats should be hung could incite violence?
Oh my God. It's like you can't even threaten people with death anymore. Seriously, everyone, lighten up.
Could you elaborate on that?
Do you want to die? Do you? I'm kidding. Or am I? Last cue, and hurry up.
After a long day of gaslighting and spinning the truth to fit your narrative, how do you live with yourself?
I'm very pretty.
entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back. All right, this is a story here from Mediaite that further expands on this Paramount, Netflix debacle here. Okay, this is written by David Gilmore. Paramount Pictures X account hacked with fascist regime message. Paramount Pictures official X account was hacked on Tuesday, briefly rebranded as a, quote, proud arm of a fascist regime, unquote, message as it attempt a hostile takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery. For several minutes, the pointed message was emblazoned on the account's bio. It quickly vanished, restored to, quote, the official X account for Paramount Pictures, unquote, but not before screenshots ricocheted across the internet, of course. The hack landed just a day after owner David Ellison launched a hostile all-cash bid for Warner Brothers Discovery at $30 per share, topping Netflix's $27.75 mix of cash and stock, in a move that rattled Hollywood, where labor unions and streaming rivals warn that consolidation on this scale risks deepening political influence over the entertainment sector. Those anxieties have only sharpened with Ellison's proximity to President Trump, a longtime friend of his father whose administration would rule on any merger. Trump, speaking Sunday, warned that a colossal Netflix Warner Brothers Discovery deal could, quote, be a problem, unquote, adding that, quote, we'll see what happens, unquote. Quote, they're big supporters of mine, unquote, Trump declared on aboard Air Force One in October, weeks before the Skydance Paramount merger closed this year on August the 7th. He publicly boosted the younger Ellison, saying, quote, he'll do a great job, unquote, atop the combined company. In October, Ellison struck a deal reportedly worth $150 million to acquire Barry Weiss's outlet, the Free Press, and install her as CBS News' top editorial executive. Yet the Ellisons' proximity to Trump has hardly ensured goodwill. The president erupted on Monday over a CBS 60 Minutes profile of Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, savaging the Ellisons' stewardship of the network, writing, quote, they are no better than the old ownership, unquote. Pressed at a White House briefing about Paramount's rival bid for Warner Brothers Discovery, Trump kept his distance. Quote, I don't know enough about it, unquote. He said, bullshit. Stressing he would need to weigh the market implications for Netflix and Paramount Skydance. Excuse me. Quote, I mean, none of them are particularly great friends of mine. You know, I want to do what's right, unquote. Yeah. Rival executives, however, appear to be courting the White House just as aggressively. Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos made a secret trip earlier this year, while billionaire Larry Ellison has reportedly discussed CNN talent decisions with Trump officials. Yeah, so, that's very disquieting. Now you're getting Trump mixed in with this now, so things really could get twisted around bad. Nothing good ever comes out if anything Trump gets his fucking nose mixed up in. Now, here's some sombering news here from People magazine, written by Greta Schornson. Mitt Romney's sister-in-law, Carrie, died by suicide at L.A. parking garage, medical examiners have determined. Carrie was married to Mitt's older brother, who filed for divorce months prior to her death. The County of Los Angeles Department of Medical Examiner has determined the cause of death for former U.S. Senator Mitt Romney's late sister-in-law, Carrie Elizabeth Romney. She died on October the 10th after she fell from a parking garage in California. Mitt said in a statement at the time that his family was, quote-unquote, heartbroken by her death. The cause of death has been determined for Carrie Elizabeth Romney. So, trying to see here. Mitt Romney said, "Our family's heartbroken by the loss of Carrie, who brought warmth and love to all our lives. We ask for privacy during this difficult time." Yeah. Oh, a whole lot to say about that. It's unfortunate. Can't imagine what circumstances led up to that. People get divorced all the time, but, usually doesn't end like this, So it must have been really, really bad time, at least for her. Some people take things really to heart, Maybe it was a divorce she didn't want, who knows. Here's a kind of an odd story from Mediaite, written by Colby Hall. It's an opinion piece. Conservatives who called Al Jazeera terror TV now are silent as Qatar eyes CNN. For 20 years, conservative media called Al Jazeera terror TV because Qatar funded it. They insisted that Qatari money in journalism meant Qatari influence, and Qatari influence meant danger. This was the refrain on Fox News, talk radio, and all across the right-wing blogosphere. A foreign state owning a news outlet was treated not as a story but as a threat. And now, Qatar's sovereign wealth fund is reportedly among the investors approached to help finance a takeover bid that includes CNN. Reuters reported that David Ellison's team explored funding from Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE as they assembled the capital stack for the Paramount Skydance offer. These are not confirmed investments, but the outreach is documented. A foreign state sovereign wealth entering an American newsroom should set off the alarms that conservatives spent years building. Instead, there is silence. Fox and Friends once devoted entire segments to warning that Al Jazeera was terror TV and a Qatari propaganda arm. In 2013, conservative columnist Michelle Malkin denounced the network as a, quote, $500 million Trojan horse for terror TV, unquote, saying its Arabic language arm had, quote, cheer-led for terror, unquote, and held American lives responsible. Today, with Qatar in line to help finance a takeover bid for CNN, and with the bid routed through Trump's family, those warnings have entirely disappeared. The reason is obvious. The difference is not Qatar. The difference is Donald Trump, whose son-in-law, Jared Kushner, is serving as a proxy in a deal built around Gulf sovereign wealth, a deal Trump appears positioned to benefit from. And conservative media will defend that deal before it defends press independence. This is not ideological inconsistency, it is hierarchy. Conservative media has become more loyal to Trump's interests than to the values it once claimed to champion. Qatar did not become more trustworthy. The movement simply decided that Trump world's access mattered more than its principles. And the silence is not just a reversal, it is a permission slip. If Qatar can move toward the American media bloodstream without resistance simply because the deal flows through Trump's family, with Kushner as the intermediary, then other governments will study the model. They have deeper funds and sharper incentives. China already owns TikTok's algorithm, one of the most powerful information engines in the United States. Russia funds RT, which still reaches American audiences. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the UAE operate media networks as instruments of national strategy. What happens when they see that foreign money in American journalism is acceptable if it aligns with the right political patrons? When a movement decides foreign money is harmless, if it serves its leader, that money finds a safe path. And once that path exists for one actor, it exists for all. But the problem is bigger than politics. It exposes a crisis inside American journalism. News organizations once saw themselves as public institutions. Over time, they became corporate assets. Now, they are becoming geopolitical commodities. When the financing behind a newsroom becomes a mosaic of private equity, political families, and foreign sovereign wealth, the question of who the journalism is for becomes harder to answer. Increasingly, it is for whoever assembled the money. This is why the conservative silence matters. It is not about hypocrisy, it is about signaling that the American information system is open for foreign bidding as long as the political alliances line up. That is a dangerous precedent for a democracy with no consistent scrutiny of foreign investment in news and no shared understanding of what should be off limits. Qatar may be the most visible foreign state to test this vulnerability. It will not be the last. And when the next government makes its approach, the American political class may realize too late that the permission slip has already been signed. Yeah, just another indication of how the press in our country has collapsed or failed. And why? Because getting money was more important than delivering the truth. Okay? And that's why a lot of people today, they won't listen to the fucking, the big three networks when it comes to 6 o'clock news. A lot of people don't even bother with that anymore. Ratings show it. Okay? There's a lot of people that'll listen to bullshit Fox News. Okay? But those are the people that lean to the right. Okay? Those, like I said, they're sycophants. And and Fox knows how to talk to the sycophants to keep them riveted, to keep them coming back for more. Okay? It's like wrestling. If you're, the wrestling, they tailor every little event to be something to be an eye catcher. And that's what Fox News does. Okay? That's why the truth isn't so important as long as it's something that grabs you. Sort of like court TV, when the OJ trial and, Jodi Arias and, all these other people, in the past that did big crimes, they bill that out of proportion. Okay? Even worse than the tabloids. Okay? That grabbed people. And a lot of disinformation got spread out to the public through them. Fox has been doing that for far longer, okay? And so, for them, we expect that from them. But what we don't expect is that, institutions of journalism that have been around even before Fox are caving to the same kind of bullshit tactics, okay? And that's what's disheartening, is because now we can't really trust everything we see in the news. If there was one thing on TV you could watch and say what you're seeing is educational and it's actually truth, was the news. Okay? Everything else on TV, that was just entertainment. But now, you might as well lump the news in there with the entertainment too, because a lot of it is just bloated bullshit. Okay? And I'm including the so-called Democrat news outfits as well. Okay? They're following the same. They used to criticize Fox News, okay? But now they've become arms of Fox News now. They're just as bad in many ways as they are, okay? And so I don't even watch the big three anymore. I don't watch any TV news anymore, okay? I don't. I do more reading of the news from sources that are really, a lot of them aren't even in the States, because I figure that, hey, it's poison. The United States journalist system is poisoned. No matter where you go politically, where you lean politically, it's poisoned. So I got to look outside the United States to get the truth, or at least something closer to the truth, because other countries don't have any skin in the game by reporting the truth about what's going on in this country. Okay, they may be lying a lot about their own countries or something, but they're certainly not going to mince words when it comes to ours. So, you know, I just feel like, you know, getting news from other countries at this point is really the best option for a lot of us, and we really should just ignore American press across the board at this point until they straighten their act out. Okay, and that's not going to happen yet, at least not with this administration. I mean, these press briefings we get from the White House are a fucking circus. Okay, they deliver nothing. They give us nothing. All right, we try to get some kind of answer, logical answer for them for why they're bombing boats in Venezuela. We don't get nothing. We're still having the same questions every fucking press briefing, and they still won't answer. So what's the point of watching that every night after night after night? If they're gonna lie, they'll continue to lie, and we won't learn a thing. You know? So that's why I say the press here is really neutered. They're really neutered, and they don't have anything but just trying to make money. The advertisers that they get on their 6 o'clock news is their most important thing. Okay, whatever that may be. That's where they get their money, and that's all they care about. What they do in between the commercial breaks, okay, is anybody's guess. You know, it's sad. You know, because I remember the good old days, you know, when you could get some, you know, some real journalistic investigation into certain things and understand stuff. Okay. I mean, you ain't gonna get that here now anymore. I don't care who the hell it is, 60 Minutes or anybody. They're all fucked up now. Okay, the only time you can ever actually watch them is if they're talking about a celebrity in Hollywood or something. You can pretty much guarantee there's really, you know, nothing there they can spin in a political way. They're just, you know, it's just a biography, biopic or something. But anything political wise, okay, forget it. You know, you're really not. You're just soaking up shit, basically, if you're watching any of that other stuff. So anyway, that's it for today. So I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. So subscribe, comment, share, keep your ears open for health-related issues, and you know, treat each other kind out there. Be safe, and you know, help each other out when it's necessary, because it's really going to be necessary. It will continue to be necessary in days to come. So I encourage everybody to listen to what I'm saying here and not just say, oh, you're full of shit. Okay, you did that last year, and everything I've said last year about what's going to happen this year has turned out to be correct. So not as full of shit as you thought it was. All right, talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.